Hey everybody, this is Andrew here at the Tower e-bike repair shop, and today we're going to be talking about a topic that we get asked absolutely all the time, and that is how to properly store your electric bicycle. You may have gotten a brand new e-bike and you are very excited about it, and you got it home and you're like, where am I going to store this thing? Well, hopefully I will give you some more details and steer you in the right direction. So to start off, the number one rule I always have when it comes to storing e-bikes, and in my personal opinion, bikes in general, but e-bikes especially, and that is absolutely do not store them outside. Being outside, exposed to the elements at all times is probably the worst thing for your e-bike. It's pretty bad for a regular bicycle in general, but to add all the electrical components on there, it is terrible for it. From the moisture, to the dirt, to the wind, everything can affect this bike and the electrical system. So the number one rule I always have is store it indoors whenever possible. Now, for everyone, that may not be a possibility. You may not have the space to store your e-bike inside, which does bring me to my second point. If you can't store your e-bike inside fully, at the very least, take your battery, bring it inside with you. If possible, potentially take your LCD screen. Some can snap on and off pretty easily or just unscrew and unplug, but battery, 100%, bring that inside, keep it safe, keep it dry, keep it at room temperature, away from the elements. Again, drive this point home. The elements are the worst thing for your e-bike. Now, if you are going to store your bike outside, again, you've already brought the battery and whatever parts you can bring in inside, and you have what you are going to keep outside, at the very least, get a cover for your bicycle. Depending on the bike you have, the brand, the manufacturer may have a cover specifically designed for your bike, and if the case, that is fantastic. That is not necessarily the case for all bikes on the market. And when it comes to e-bikes, there are definitely some peculiar frame styles and sizes that a regular bike cover may not cover. For that, I definitely recommend barbecue grill covers. Barbecue grill covers comes in all sizes, shapes, dimensions, and styles, and they are fantastic for fitting over bikes, and they protect them very well from the elements. So if you're having trouble finding a bicycle cover bag, head over to your local grill store. They may have something helpful for you. I'm going to get to the second point here, and that is for storage. Temperature is probably the other biggest thing when it comes to the e-bikes that you want to be conscientious of. Obviously, water and dirt and mud and stuff, you're like, yeah, of course, that makes super sense on this bike. But the temperature has probably one of the biggest impacts, especially on the battery. So, a lot of people hear, yeah, store it indoors, perfect. I got a shed in my backyard, I got a garage, I can just roll the bike in there, everything's protected from the elements. That is true, except it's not protected from the temperature, especially if you live somewhere very hot, like Texas or Arizona or Southern California, where it can get really hot. Speaking from experience, those sheds and garages can become like saunas or hot boxes. They will just get sweltering inside there, way hotter than it is outside. If your e-bike is sitting there with the battery attached to it, your battery is getting affected negatively by that heat. Even if you are storing it indoors in somewhere sheltered, I always recommend take that battery inside, keep it in the nice room temperature with the family where everything else is kept. I've talked about it in a few other videos, but I want to drive it home again. Don't leave those batteries or the e-bike exposed to the elements or extreme heat. Now, this last tip is for those that live in sort of the opposite, in sub-freezing climates. Generally, cold is not too bad for the e-bikes. If it's freezing, you can hop on your e-bike, turn it on, jam without problems. But there is one thing you should remember when it comes to cold temperatures, and that is with regards to charging. So if you're like, it doesn't get too hot where I live, I'm just gonna keep it in my garage with the battery attached, everything will be fine. That is true, but if you go to charge your battery on a morning where it is all icy outside and you go to plug it in, that is actually going to negatively affect your cells. If you try to charge a battery and the batteries have not warmed up past that freezing point, it will start to affect their life long term. So if you are going to charge your battery in the cold, just hop on the bike, give it a spin around the block, get the juices flowing through those cells, get some warmth in there. Then when you get home, plug it in, you will be good to go. So kind of brings us to the end. I'm going to drive the point home one last time. Don't leave your e-bikes outside. I have seen countless e-bikes get left outside. On top of the electrical systems having to be rebuilt, all of the regular bike stuff had to be rebuilt. New spokes, new chains, new cables, new housing, everything. Bicycle or e-bike. Generally do not store it outdoors whenever possible. Where do you store your e-bike? What are some tips and tricks you may use where you live? Be sure to let us know, and thanks for joining us.